RJD chief Lalu Yadav, who had been called in for questioning by the Enforcement Directorate in Patna over a land for jobs scam case that has been under the purview of the investigation by the ED for quite some time. He had in fact been questioned for 10 hours straight. Let's take a look at this report to understand what's happening with the RJD chief.
As ED intensifies probe into Bihar land for job scam. Former Bihar CM Lalu Yadav was quizzed for nearly 10 hours by the ED. Lalu was accompanied by his daughter Meesa Bharti.
आज हमारे पिताजी को बुलाया गया, कल हमारे भाई तेजस्वी को बुलाया गया है, फिर हमें दिल्ली भी बुलाया गया है, मेरी माताजी को, मैं और मेरी बहनों को, परिवार के लोगों को। तो मुझे लगता है कि अब ये जैसे जैसे चुनाव करीब आएगा ना, तो प्रधानमंत्री जी मुझे लगता है बहुत डरे हुए हैं, और डरे हुए हैं तो ये यही काम करेंगे। वो हमारे साथ किए, कल किसी और दूसरी राजनीतिक पार्टी के साथ करेंगे और लीडर्स को इस तरह से बुलाएंगे।
Scam occurred during Lalu's tenure as railway minister. Lalu allegedly got lands transferred between 2004 to 2009. Lands transferred in exchange of railway jobs, current value of land parcels around rupees 200 crores. Between 2004 to 2009, when Lalu was the railway minister in the UPA regime. Case is linked to transferring of land by candidates in lieu of railway jobs. The current value of the land is whopping 200 crore rupees. Meanwhile, RJD's Indi ally, Congress has come out in defense, calling these ED raids as center's witch hunt.
केंद्र सरकार ने एक बात मान ली है कि बिना जो है ईडी, इनकम टैक्स और सीबीआई और जो सेंट्रल एजेंसीज हैं उनसे अपोजिशन को दबाए वो चुनाव नहीं जीत सकते 2024 का। तो चुनाव जीतने के लिए उनको राम जी पर भरोसा नहीं है, उनको तो ईडी, इनकम टैक्स और सीबीआई पर भरोसा है।
Republic also learned from sources that ED will also summon Lalu's son, Tejasvi Yadav, his previous summons. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
The Italian Premier Meloni in fact opened a summit for the African leaders and had also given assurances for curbing several of the issues between the two countries as well. In fact, here's a detailed report to understand how essentially she addressed the leaders of African countries.
Italian PM Giorgia Meloni has kick-started a summit for African leaders in Rome. The summit illustrated Italy's plan to curb migration and boost development as a way to create security and jobs in Africa. Meloni addressed leaders of 24 African nations at the summit.
Ma è ovvio che un piano così ambizioso non potrà prescindere dal pieno coinvolgimento di tutto il sistema Italia complessivamente inteso, a partire dalla cooperazione allo sviluppo, dal settore privato, che è fondamentale coinvolgere nella nostra strategia, dato l'enorme patrimonio di conoscenza, tecnologia e soluzioni innovative che può vantare.
But the plan, named Mattei Plan, got a lukewarm initial reception. African Union Commission chairman said Africa would have liked to have consulted before Italy rolled out its plan.
Les infrastructures, l'environnement, l'énergie, la santé, l'éducation, la digitalisation forment les pelotons de tête de nos priorités. À l'évidence, les obstacles qui se dressent devant la réalisation de telles priorités sont nombreux. Le lourd fardeau de la dette, les effets des changements climatiques, la montée de l'extrémisme violent et du terrorisme, l'instabilité politique et institutionnelle, les déficits de financements adéquats et les graves errements en matière de gouvernance.
President of the European Commission, who was at the summit, said the EU offers more opportunities to come to Europe legally so that people can move, learn and bring their new expertise back home.
In recent months, we have been working closely with, for example, Ivory Coast, Gambia, Guinea, Mauritania and Senegal on our common approach that is clear, to save lives and to create opportunities. We offer more opportunities to come to Europe legally so that people can move, learn, and bring their new expertise back home. And we cooperate on the return of irregular migrants because mobility must be managed by law and not by the smugglers.
24 African leaders, top European Union, United Nations officials and representatives from lending institutions were in Rome for the summit, the first major event of Italy's G7 presidency. Agency report, Republic TV.
Now, viewers, the conflict between, Israel has been going on for quite some time, and the casualties and the number of people who have lost their lives is only mounting. The ministry there run by Hamas had also confirmed that there were at least 26,000 people that have also died in this conflict so far. Here's a detailed report to understand what's happening in the war-torn region.
Several people were killed in Gaza City when a residential building was hit in an airstrike. Emergency services rushed to the Sheti refugee camp to search for the bodies under the rubble. The dead were transported to Shifa Hospital, Gaza's largest medical facility. Following the strike, where a doctor confirmed at least 10 fatalities.
بالنسبة لمعسكر الشاطئ تم ضرب بيت مأهول في السكان في معسكر الشاطئ من دار شهادة بالقرب من العيادة العسكرية. تم نقل بعض الشهداء إلى مستشفى الشفاء. الوضع صعب في المكان، يعني في عندنا صعوبة في دخولنا لأنه باعتبار عن شوارع صغيرة ضيقة في معسكر الشاطئ.
Since the start of Israel-Hamas war, over 26,000 Palestinians have been killed by a blistering Israeli ground and air offensive. Israel launched the offensive in response to October 7 Hamas attack on southern Israel, in which militants killed 1,200 Palestinians and took some 250 hostages, some released during a week's ceasefire in November. Agency report, Republic TV.
Now, viewers, the presidential elections, are currently underway in Finland, and Alexander Stubb of the National Coalition Party has emerged as the winner in the first round. Let's take a look at this detailed report to understand what's happening with that election.
Alexander Stubb of Finland's centre-right National Coalition Party has emerged the winner of the first round of the country's presidential election. His party will go head-to-head with Pekka Haavisto of the Liberal Green Party in a runoff in 2 weeks' time.
On one hand, you stay faithful and true to your values, like human rights, fundamental rights, rule of law, democracy, freedom. At the same time, you realize that the rest of the world doesn't think like you do. And in order for us to solve the biggest global problems that we have today, including climate change or demography or pandemics, we need international cooperation. So I'm trying to look at things from both sides of the coin, both the idealistic side and the realistic side.
Recent polls suggest that former Prime Minister Alexander Stubb and former Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto are the leading contenders.
Well, certainly the priorities is to make us an active member of NATO. We are a new member now. Secondly, of course, that Sweden will come as a member of NATO as soon as possible. The last ratifications of Turkey and Hungary are now ongoing. And of course, this means that all the Nordic countries are then in NATO. For me, it also means that NATO should have a new Arctic dimension, because NATO is then stronger in the Arctic area when both Finland and Sweden are members.
Finland's new head of state will start a 6-year term in March in a markedly different geopolitical and security situations in Europe.
One of the big things that many expect for the new president is what kind of role Finland will take within NATO. And that will be a key issue. The president represents the country most likely in NATO meetings.
The likely second round of voting between the two candidates with the most votes is set for February 11. Agency report, Republic TV.